Hello guys, this is Aniket Kumar Singh and I'm right over here with your NEET and AIIMS career. Welcome to my channel. It's Biology with Aniket, right? So, and this is the particular chapter called as Class 11th, Chapter 2, Biological Classification. This very subtopic Kingdom Protista that I'll be discussing right over here, right? So I'll be discussing all the 30 years questions right over here and giving it to you, clubbing the major exemplar of NCERT, practical NCERT as well as NCERT liners from the NCERT textbook class 11, right? So without wasting time, let's directly move on to it. It's going to be very important. So let's just move on to it. Discuss the particular very important chapter going to be Kingdom Protista from your chapter 2 class 11th. Okay, हमेशा देखना, the Protista is going to be also called as Protista. This is the particular kingdom which is again called as the kingdom of unicellular eukaryotes. NCERT liner. NCERT says these particular as NCERT says that these particular as unicellular, but हमेशा याद रखना these are also called as acellular eukaryotes. These are also called as acellular eukaryotes. Other than this, this is the particular kingdom which is also called as the kingdom of misfits. That is very important. The kingdom of taxonomically misfit organisms. These are the taxonomically misfit organisms. The meaning is that those particular organisms that do not fit in any kingdom, and any kingdom are something which is given the place right over here. Okay, so that's going to be very important. Other than this, right, it's going to be very important. Other than this, if you wish to know anything, then what else you can say in general characteristic? These are uske baad organisms honge that you have to understand. Other than this, there is one more point that is going to be very important. That is, this is the connecting link. This particular kingdom is going to be a connecting link between lower organisms and higher organisms. That is between fungi, plants, and animals. Between fungi, plants, and animals. This is going to be one thing that is NCERT example, a very important point. Then हमेशा रखना, the very important characteristic going to be reproduction, asexual mode of reproduction. The asexual reproduction I have discussed already in my previous video. The two types of one is called as binary fission. Very important. I have told you in my previous video, binary fission is a particular process wherein there occurs a division. कैसे वो cell divide करता है by formation of something which is called as transverse septum between in the mother cell from central towards the periphery. Binary fission is something which is being shown by something which is called as very famous organism, diatoms, which belong to Protista, dinoflagellates, which again belong to Protista. Right? So the two protistans are going to show binary fission. Other than this, there is something called as spore formation. NCERT liner. The spore formation is something which is shown by a very famous organism called as slime molds. Very important. हमेशा बेटा एक चीज याद रखना, slime molds are something that is going to exhibit this particular property. होता क्या है ना? There is something called as sporangia. It's again given in NCERT beta, not anything other than this. Sporangia is something on which spores are formed. This sporangia cover the spores, and the sporangia burst and the spores are something which is released. So this is something which is called as spore formation. That is going to be a sexual reproduction. Very important. जिसमें सबको almost most of you have doubt in this is going to be sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction in case of protestant is going to be three types. One is called as isogamy. Another is called as anisogamy. Other than this is called as oogamy. सबको इसमें confusion होता है बेटा, बहुत confusion है. Listen here, right? Okay, isogamy is something where it is the simplest way of reproduction is going to be isogamy, where the fusing gametes, हमेशा याद रखना, the fusing gametes will be, I'll give you the particular term, physiologically, or I should use the NCERT exemplar term, morphologically similar, but genetically or functionally, or I have to use the physiologically, they are genetically going to be dissimilar. That word is very important. The particular type of fusion of gametes where the gametes are morphologically, remember, morphologically matlab I am talking about the shape, the size, the structure. of the particular protestant. The particular type of reproduction where the particular gametes, the fusing gametes are going to be similar in shape, size and structure, but are genetically similar or maybe dissimilar. Okay, both are possible. They may be similar or dissimilar. That type of is called as isogamy. If genetically अगर similar हुए मान ले उसको अपन कहते हैं isogamy. अगर genetically dissimilar हुए, that is also one case. If the gametes are going to be morphologically similar and they are going to be genetically dissimilar, then that particular उसको अपन कहते हैं physiological anisogamy. That is going to be very important term. You have to remember that. That is called as physiological. It's something which is not yet asked, but try to take a chance. Right? It's given in NCERT exemplar, so you have to remember. Okay, that is sexual reproduction. Okay, and this is morphologically particular words. Okay, so this is going to be very important. You have to remember. Other than this, anisogamy. Anisogamy is something which is called as the fusing gametes are going to be morphologically dissimilar. The fusing gametes are going to be morphologically dissimilar. Genetically or functionally or physiologically, they may be similar or dissimilar. That is called as anisogamy. हमेशा याद रखना, anisogamy में usually the gametes are going to be dissimilar. Very important. Other than this, oogamy, NCERT liner from class 12th reproduction in organism chapter 1 is going to be very 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 important. हमेशा याद रखना. Oogamy is well illustrated with diagram in there, so तुम अभी पढ़ लो इससे. It's not going to be very great thing. Oogamy in the sense, what is oogamy? हमेशा याद रखना, male gamete, there are fusing gametes. The sexes are distinct in oogamy. Male gametes are going to be motile and small in size. The female gamete is going to be non-motile and larger in size, and the female gamete will never come out from the female reproductive, or female gamete remains in the female reproductive structure, never comes out. And whatever gametes are formed, the gametes are something which is formed in the sex organs. So हमेशा रखना, oogamy is going to be one of the advanced character of protistans, which is a step towards the evolution. एक चीज बहुत important है बेटा, हमेशा रखना. I'll be teaching you while I'll be starting kingdom plant red algae. Other than red algae, all oogamy, male is something which is motile and small in size. But in case of red algae, the male is going to be non-motile. That is very important, very 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 important point that you have to remember. So this is the very first thing of kingdom protista that you have to remember. So now let's move on to the very next topic. That is going to be very 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 important. The life cycle of protista is not given in NCERT. For sure, it is given at the end of the chapter of kingdom plantae. Right, with example. So I'm just यहाँ पे दे रहा हूँ ताकि everything should be final revision के time it will be helpful. So the life cycle अगर मैं बात करूँ तो हमेशा याद रखो, in some particular protistans what happens, the adult देख सुनो ध्यान से, in some protistans the adult is something which is going to be haploid. In some protistans, if the adult is going to be haploid, the gametes are something which is formed just by the process of mitosis. The gametes are something which is formed by the process of mitosis. These are nothing but your gametes. Okay? I'm talking about if the protestant, in some protistants, if the protestant adult is going to be haploid, the gametes are something which is formed. The gametes are something which is formed by the process of mitosis. What happens in this is, just after the formation of gametes, these gametes undergo the process of syngamy kind of, or you can say this, they undergo fusion and form a diploid zygote, right? So सबसे पहले mitosis, gametes बने, gametes क्या हुए, they undergone fusion where they form a diploid zygote. This diploid zygote then undergo a process of something called as mitosis. They undergo meiosis. They undergo a particular kind of process which is called as meiosis, and they again form the adult or haploid. This one. So the zygote is going to be diploid. अब देख ध्यान से. The zygote is diploid in these protistans, right? Can I say one thing? The complete life cycle. अगर मैं पूरी चीज देखूं, the complete life cycle of my protista is mainly haploid. Has to be. Only one step, that is the zygote, is going to be diploid. इस particular protista में क्या है? The complete or mostly the max part of the maximum part of the my so-called protistan is going to be haploid. So this is the particular type of life cycle which is called as haplontic life cycle. Very, very, very important. Haplontic life cycle. This is the particular type of cycle where the most of the part of the life cycle is going to be haploid. Only the zygote is diploid, and this diploid zygote is something which is responsible for any sort of variation. Responsible for any sort of. So this is responsible for any sort of mutation in case of. And the example of haplontic life cycle, if you know, that can be your dinoflagellates. We'll be discussing it. Wait. Okay. The example is going to be that all dinoflagellates are going to show your haplontic life cycle. This is the first example. If the second case occurs, if the organism or the adult is going to be diploid, if the adult is going to be diploid, then what will do? हमेशा रखना, if the adult is going to be diploid in nature, it will undergo, the very first step is going to be meiosis, not mitosis. The very first step is going to be meiosis, not mitosis. Diploid, once it is going to undergo meiosis, that time it is going to form haploid gametes, can I say? It is going to form haploid gametes. These haploid gametes are something which is going to form now by undergo the process of fusion, and they are going to form a diploid zygote, right? Again they are going to form a diploid zygote, right? So this is going to be the process of fusion. By this diploid zygote, from this diploid zygote, the adult is something which is going to be formed by the process of mitosis. So this is going to be a diploid zygote. A very important term, again if I am giving you, this is going to be a particular type of protistan life cycle. उस particular protista जिसमें the parent or the adult is going to be diploid. उस particular time में सबसे पहले क्या होगा? Diploid parent will undergo meiosis. It is going to form haploid gametes. These haploid gametes will undergo fusion. If they are undergoing fusion, they are again forming diploid zygote, diploid adult. From diploid zygote, it will undergo mitosis and again form diploid adult. अब बता एक और चीज. Now this time what is the thing? Only this part, only the gametic part is going to be haploid. Other than that, the maximum part is going to be diploid, right? You can see. Only this is the part which is going to be haploid. Other than this, the complete part is going to be diploid. So what is the name of the cycle? It has to be nothing but Diplontic life cycle. It is something which is called as Diplontic life cycle, which is being something which is given by diatoms. NCERT liner, NCERT exemplar, you have to remember this. This life cycle concept is very important, okay? हमेशा रखना. The particular type, and अभी just बताया, the particular type of, in case of the haplontic life cycle, zygote undergoes meiosis, and it is something which is responsible for variation. हमेशा रखना, in case of haplontic life cycle, zygotic meiosis is going to be very, very, very important term. The zygotic meiosis is responsible for is responsible for variation. NCERT example question आता है बेटा. Zygotic meiosis is something which is responsible for variation in case of haplontic life cycle. Other than this, अगर मैं कहूँ यहाँ पे क्या है, diploid zygote ने mitosis करके same diploid, कोई variation नहीं आया, लेकिन diploid ने यहाँ haploid बनाया, right? So what happened is, actually when the gametes are formed after meiosis, so can I say one thing? The gametic meiosis in Diplontic life cycle, the gametic meiosis is something which is responsible for variations in case of Diplontic life cycle. It's again NCERT example. It's very important point that you have to remember. So in case of haplontic life cycle, zygotic meiosis is responsible for variation. In case of Diplontic life cycle, gametic meiosis is something which is going to be very, very, very important, responsible for variation. So I hope थोड़ा clear है ये. Okay, it's nothing, it's very easy. You have to just remember example and the variations. Diagram से बस समझाने के लिए you have to understand, right? So okay, now let's move to. So yeah, let's now move to the various organisms that we have to discuss, right? The very first group is going to be your chrysophytes. Okay, the very second group we have to discuss is going to be pyrophytes. The very third group we have to discuss is going to be euglenoids. Okay, I just want to give you like this because this is something which is comparative way and it's going to be the best type of thing that हमेशा याद करने में comparison करके पढ़ोगे बेटा जब वो हमेशा तुम्हें याद रहेगा हमेशा it's something which is the best technique I prefer. Okay, so the very first thing is the group members, the sole members. So हमेशा देखना chrysophytes, for chrysophytes group if I am talking about, the very sole member is going to be golden algae. The very first member is going to be golden algae, which are also called as desmids. The golden algae, which are also called as desmids, plus something which is called as golden algae along with diatoms. So people get confused a lot, right, between golden algae, thinking that these are diatoms. No, desmids, golden algae, diatoms. Desmids are something which is called as golden algae, not diatoms which are called as golden algae, right? Other than this, pyrophytes is a group which includes dinoflagellates, right? That is again very important. And euglenoids is a particular group which includes the group euglena. That is the very first point, right? Other than this, the very second point, if you wish to know, the pigments that are present. So हमेशा देखना chrysophytes have xanthophyll. Chrysophytes have xanthophyll as the major pigment. हमेशा देखना, if stick to NCERT exemplar, xanthophyll की जगह please ये याद रखो, it's given in NCERT as well as NCERT exemplar. Fucoxanthin is a particular type of pigment or kind of xanthophyll which is going to be present in case of in case of chrysophytes. Along with this, the very other pigments may be chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C, along with carotenoids. These will be the major pigments. सबसे important is going to be this one, which is called as fucoxanthin. The fucoxanthin is something which is very important. The fucoxanthin is something which gives the particular type of golden color to the this particular protista, right? It's going to be very important. Other than this, beta, big pyrophytes. The pyrophytes is particular group जिसके पास it will have एक मिनट तो pyrophytes will have something called as very important dinozanthin or dinozanthin and dinozanthin, along with this chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C, and photosynthetic pigments which are going to be present. These are the two particular pigments which is responsible for the particular characteristic color of these particular protestant. Other than this, euglenoids, हमेशा याद रखोगे बेटा, this is going to be very important. The type of xanthophyll which is present is going to be zeaxanthin. Again, NCERT practical. Euglenoids have been illustrated right over there. Zeaxanthin is a type of xanthophyll which is present along with chlorophyll A and chlorophyll D. It's going to be very important. Chlorophyll A and एक और होगा, ठीक है. Zeaxanthin is something which is going to be present. Along with that, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B is something which is going to be present. What is B pigment? B is something which is present in higher plants. This is the particular pigment which is present in higher plants. अब देख, the particular photosynthetic pigments which is present in higher plants gives them a particular type of property which is called as photosynthesis, right? Euglenoids में क्या? Chlorophyll B. Due to this, these are the organisms, animals that can even perform photosynthesis because of the presence of this particular kind of pigment. NCERT exemplar, NCERT practical, this particular point is very important, right? So this is one thing that you have to know. It's going to be something very important. Now the very other characteristic, if I want to discuss, is going to be your cell wall. Right? अगर मैं cell wall की बात करूँ, हमेशा रखना the chrysophyte group is something which is known for its cell wall. हमेशा रखना cell wall is something which is made up of silica cell wall along with cellulose. The cell wall, NCERT liner, the cell wall which is made up of silica is something which is called as frustule. NCERT liner, the cell wall which is made up of silica is something which is called as fistule. It's very important. Shell or fistule. हमेशा याद रखना, due to the presence of silica, these particular chrysophytes, even when they die, these particular chrysophytes, even after their death, this particular cell wall is very strict, very tough, that do not get that do not get destroyed even after years of, उसकी वजह से क्या होगा, just after their death these particular chrysophytes will go and deposit on the bed of the sea, and there they form a particular type of particles which are called as, at the bottom of the sea, called as diatomatite, diatomaceous earth particle or Kieselguhr. That is very important terms that you have to remember. Diatomaceous earth, diatomatite or Kieselguhr. That is going to be something which is very important, and you have to remember. Even after that they get accumulated. हमेशा एक NCERT exemplar का point है. Chrysophytes are something which are called as bad conductor of electricity due to the presence of silica or fistule shell. Okay, that is very important. So this is one thing. Other than this, the cell wall, very important. Pyrophytes, in case of pyrophytes, the cell wall is something which is made up of cellulose. Very important. The cell wall is something which is made up of cellulose. The cellulose stiff plates are present. Very important. Cellulose are present in stiff plates. Since these are present in stiff plates, these particular organisms are also called as armored protistans. Very important. The armored protestant, आया हुआ क्वेश्चन है बेटा, NCERT exemplar armored protestant और armored algae. अब एक चीज और याद रखो, in animal kingdom I'll be the same person to teach you something called as armored fish. उसमें confuse मत होना. The armored fish is going to be different. The armored algae is going to be different. Armored algae is going to be your dinoflagellate due to the presence of cellulose stiff plates. Is going to be very important. The cell wall right over here. Okay, the cell wall is, in case of euglenoids, the cell wall is something which is going to be absent. अब बता, plant जैसे chlorophyll भी है, right? Photosynthesis करने के लिए, क्योंकि plants जैसा cell wall नहीं है. So this is going to be plant character, this is going to be an animal character, right? So this is going to be very important. Okay, this is one thing that you have to remember. Then something I have to tell is going to be your stored food, right? Okay, so the stored food is something which is going to be very important. The stored food is something which is going to be leucosin. Is something which is going to be leucosin and fats. Very important. Fats or oils. The stored food is going to be the leucosin, fats or oil. The stored food right over here is going to be very important. The stored food right over here is going to be starch. The stored food is going to be starch. The stored food or stored receiver of this one is going to be something which is called as paramylin fat. Is something which is called as paramylin fat. तो ये NCERT लाइनर है बेटा, again very important. Okay, तो तुम्हें इसमें confusion आता है, that's why I've given you in comparison so that it will be very easy for you to remember, right? Stored food is going to be glucosin and fats in case of chrysophytes. In case of pyrophytes is going to be very general starch. In case of euglenoids it is going to be something which is called as paramylin fat. That is one thing. Other than this you have to remember something then, हमेशा याद रखना, these are the group which are going to be exclusively marine. NCERT liner, these are exclusively marine. This is the particular group which will be aquatic and marine, or they are two found in freshwater, or they are found in brackish water. NCERT liner, the particular type of protestant which is found in brackish water, NCERT exemplar, this has to be understood by you, is going to be euglenoid. Other than this, it is also found in damp soil. Again very important, very unique characteristic. आता है chrysophytes में. अगर मैं chrysophytes की habitat बोलूँ, it can be again marine, it can be again fresh water. हमेशा याद रखना, जब भी मैं marine बोलूँगा, marine और fresh water, there is a term you have to remember. Fresh, fresh में e आता है पहले, तो it is going to be fresh, FRE, des, D का E, तो you have to remember like this. Fresh मतलब हमेशा decimates, marine मतलब हमेशा diatoms. So this is something that confuses you a lot. Or other than this, you can remember A fresh में नहीं आता, लेकिन diatoms में आता है. So it's one of the trick to memorize it. Okay. So that's something that is going to be very important. That is one thing which is called as habitat. Stored food हो गया, cell wall हो गया, pigments हो गए. Then you have to remember the flagella, very important. Pyrophytes. Pyrophytes are something which is called as the protistan with two flagella. Seriously, it's NCERT exemplar that has been given by NCERT. The protistan with two flagella is going to be pyrophytes. हमेशा देखना, there are two types of flagella. One is called as transverse flagella, other is called along horizontal flagella. I'll discuss this first. Chrysophytes are हमेशा देखना immotile in nature. These are going to be immotile in nature. Why they are called as immotile in nature? Because the flagella or any rotatory something is going to be absent. Instead, these are something which are going to attach to substratum by fimbriae or something like structure. Okay, that is going to be very important. Okay, or how they move or something. They passively float. Again, NCERT line. They are something which passively float. AIIMS assertion and reasoning 2012. This question has been asked. The assertion says the particular chrysophyte group is something that passively floats on water. Reason, the low molecular weight. Due to the low molecular weight, this particular protestant is something which is going to be immotile, but they can passively move. Other than this, there are two flagella which are present in case of pyrophytes. One is going to be the transverse flagella. One is going to be the transverse flagella. NCERT line between the furrow. Other than this, the longitudinal flagella is going to be present. Okay, the only NCERT I guess that's given only this much, so you have to remember this. In between the furrow of the wall plates, transverse flagella is present and longitudinal flagella is present. हमेशा रखना, the transverse flagella and longitudinal flagella show a type of special movement which is called as whirling whips. It's going to be very important, this particular part, because it's given in NCERT exemplar. You have to remember this. The particular type of movement which is being shown by them is going to be whirling whips. Okay, whirling whips. NCERT exemplar, NCERT practical. This particular thing is something which is being given in that. So you have to remember there are two types of flagella in case of pyrophytes. One is going to be transverse septum. NCERT liner, the transverse flagella, not septum, sorry. The transverse flagella is something which is present between the two furrow or something which is two furrow of the two plated cell wall, and this particular longitudinal flagella is present. Both of them are something work together and gives a special movement which is called as whirling whips for the pyrophytes. The euglenoids, it's a misconception actually. It's not something which is हमेशा एक ही flagella होती है, and it's going to be very important. It's going to be very important. Euglenoids, for euglenoids, the particular types of this one flagella is going to be one functional flagella. Actually, there are two flagella. It's a very great misconception, but only there is one functional flagella. Only one is going to be functional and other is going to be non-functional, and both of them coordinate together to give a specialized movement. Very important. Whirling whips, nahi, wriggling. That is going to be very important. It's something which is very similar name, so it gives a very great confusion to you. Wriggling whips, और very important ये question आया हुआ है AIIMS 2008 metabolic. The term is going to be very important. The specialized movement by one flagella of euglenoid is something which is called as wriggling whips and called as the metabolic. The pyrophytes will show whirling whips, right? So it's going to be something very important, and you have to understand this, right? So the type of movement which is called wriggling whips, I'll be discussing it in a bit detail, which is by the side movements of pellicle. I'll be drawing the diagram. I'll be explaining it, right? So these are some very general characters I've given it to you. Okay, so like you can just copy them off. It's going to be very important for you. Okay, so I'll rub it off. क्योंकि थोड़े और points हैं that need to be discussed right over here. Okay, so I'll discuss it. Yeah. So then other than this is going to be nutrition. हमेशा देखा chrysophytes का nutrition is not given in NCERT. No need to study that. Other than this, NCERT exemplar, pyrophytes, holotypic nutrition. The type of nutrition they show is going to be holotypic nutrition. The type of nutrition euglenoids show is going to be mixotrophic nutrition. Light रहेगी, so they are going to form photosynthesis and light nahi rahegi, they are going to be like parasite or saprotroph. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition is going to be present. Holotypic mode of nutrition is something which is going to be present in, you know, these so-called the pyrophytes. And hamesha yaad rakhna, there is something I told you like histone proteins. Hamesha yaad rakhna, since holotypic nutrition is something which is called as something which is similar to plants. लेकिन plants are तो eukaryote, these protistans are something which is eukaryotes में क्या होगा, histone protein, true chromosome. पर यहाँ पे याद रखना, the histone proteins are something which is going to be absent in case of pyrophytes, and since the histone proteins are absent, they are also called as, so histone proteins are absent in case of pyrophytes, and that's the reason these are also called as mesokaryotes. Mesokaryotes is going to be very important, right? So you have to understand this. Okay, so this is one thing that need to be understood by you. Other than this, other points if you wish to know is like the body of the diatom, right? Hamesha rakhna, the body of diatom can be triangular, can be rectangular, can be square, can be circular, or in any shape. The pyrophyte body can be armored, always is going to be armored, not can be. Okay, इसकी body में थोड़ा बाद में discuss करूँगा. It's going to be very important, the structure. उसके बाद हमेशा के बेटा हमेशा याद रखना, if I'm giving you the comparison, I have to write this. The chloroplast is something which is going to be absent. The chloroplast is something which is going to be absent. The chloroplast is something which is going to be present only in case of euglenoids. That is one of the major, this one. Other than this, if you wish to know is something, NCERT example again. Some names are very important that you have to understand. Some example, NCERT is not given any particular sort of example. It's just given dismiss and diatoms. इसके example याद करो बेटा. It's going to be very important. The pyrophytes, you have to remember Pyrocystis. Pyrocystis is one of the major example which is being given by NCERT. उसके बाद और भी है something which we call it as gymnodium and gonulax. Gymnodium and something which is called as gonulax. So it's going to be very important beta. Gonulax and gymnodium, these are those particular organisms NCERT liner that cause something which is called as red tides in case of the particular protestant group. Recall in kingdom Monera, I was the person that told you there is something called as Red Sea, which is being caused by C5 pigment in case of blue green algae, right? These are the particular group which are called as pyrophytes, that is protestant. Dinoflagellates are something, gonulax or gymnodium, that cause red tides in the bacteria. NCERT liner, the type of red tides are something which are going to be very toxic to the organism, inhibiting the aquatic life, because they secrete a toxin which is called as saxotoxin, that is going to be very dangerous to the the life which is inhibiting along with this. Okay, so red tide and हमेशा these red tides are something which is it's वो कैसे produce होता है red कैसे मेरा उसको पता चलता है, so called protestant को, dinoflagellates को, कि just it has to divide and cause red tide in the sea. It's just by the action of water current. ये question भी बेटा आया हुआ, I don't remember exactly, but it's something which is PMT 2015. Very recent question. The cause of red tide is going to be water current, not the cell division. It's going to be very important. The cause of red tide is going to be water currents. Very important. That is going to pyrophytes. Other than this, the very unique property, NCERT liner, exemplar, PMT 2014, NEET 2017, the chief producers of oceans are diatoms, chrysophytes, not other than that. Chief producers of ocean is going to be this one. The very unique property that is being shown by pyrophytes is going to be bioluminescence. Bioluminescence, what is bioluminescence? Is the particular property to even glow. The word is very important. The property to glow in night is something which is shown by pyrophytes. It's going to be very important. Pyrophytes show a particular property which is called as, glow in night or in dark, and that's the reason, along with the name which is called as armored algae, they are also called as night ghost. that is very important beta, ये question है. Example is going to be noctula. NCERT example, noctula is something which is called as night ghost, which belongs to the group pyrophytes. Noctula, sea ghost, night ghost, or night light, fire algae. It is also called as fire algae because of its this property. It is going to be called as fire algae, night ghost, or it is also called as sea ghost. So it's going to be very important. That is noctula के names that belong to pyrophytes group. The very important unique feature of euglenoids is going to be, मैंने बता दिया, photosynthetic रहेगा कब, जब light रहेगी. Like when light is present, it is going to be photosynthetic. It is going to be heterotrophic when light is going to be absent. बस यही है इसके की पॉइंट्स, यही है इनके की फीचर दैट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर. अदर देन दिस मैंने बता दिया, क्राइजोफाइट्स डायटम्स इज गोइंग टू बी, डायटम्स आर ऑलवेज you know diplontic life cycle. Dinoflagellates is something which are going to exhibit haplontic life cycle. Okay, उसके बाद तो बेटा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Reproduction is something very important point that you have to remember, right? I'm just giving you right over here. The reproduction, very 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 important. Reproduction over here is going to be by oxospores, NCERT exemplar और rejuvenate spores. बस यही याद रखो, इसको क्या है क्या नहीं है तुम्हें समझने की जरूरत नहीं. Just the word is very important. Only by oxospores or rejuvenate spores. These are going to be by oxospores. This is something which is by water current. This is something which is going to be water current. Along with this, it can also undergo binary fission. That is word is going to be very 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 important. So these are the chrysophytes, bryophytes or euglenoids that you have to remember beta. It's going to be very important. The oxospores are something which is going to be your rejuvenate spores. So that's one thing. So I've discussed all the protistans, I guess, right? Okay, उसमें एक चीज है बेटा जो NCERT ने दी है, that is going to be very 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 important. You have to remember the structure of euglena. बेटा एक चीज याद रखो, that is going to be very 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 important. Yeah, so euglena, right? तो हमेशा याद रखो, there is something which is right over here. I'm just drawing the major parts which are important. I'm not going along with the major particular stuffs and all, right? So ये याद रखो, it's going to be very 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 important that you have to understand. Okay. So euglena का structure बेटा पूछा हुआ है PMT 2008 में, तो इसलिए I'm just giving it to you. So it's going to be very important, right? बेटा देख, just below this eye spot there is something which is called as one flagella which is going, it's only one नहीं, it's going to be another two, but it's not visible in NCERT. हमेशा याद रखना, this is something which is going to be contractile vacuole. It is something which is called as the contractile vacuole. This is something which is called as nucleus. This is something which is called as the functional flagella. The functional flagella is something which is for wriggling movements. हमेशा याद रखना, wriggling movement, or something called as metabolic. That is going to be very important. Functional flagella is going to be one of the major thing. उसके बाद ये जो मैंने dots बनाया ना, these structures are something nothing but they are called as pellicle. These are something which are called as elastic proteins. NCERT exemplar. Pellicle is something which is present along with one of the major flagella, and this is something which is going to be very important. हमेशा याद रखना, the pellicle and your flagella, the single flagella, is something which is going to be responsible for the metabolic. That is going to be the specialized movement shown by the euglenoids. It's going to be very important. Then यहाँ पे एक red color का ये बना है, हमेशा याद रखना. Over here this black color is something which is called as eye spot. एक और NCERT example, again the eye spot is something which is having something called as astaxanthin. Very 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 important, astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is the particular type of xanthophyll pigment which has the it's going to be purple colored pigment. It's going to be something called as the purple colored pigment which is going to be present in case of euglena, and it is something which is responsible for the response of euglena to the light. It shows response to the light, and that's one of the major reason to it. Okay, और फिर ये जो red color का है ना, this is something which is called as the basal body. This is something which is called as the basal body. This basal body is something which is the common spot for both of the flagella to go. Contractile vacuole, the very important, the contractile vacuole is something which is going to be for osmoregulation. NCERT exemplar, NCERT liner, the body parts of the normal or general euglena is going to be this. तो euglena मैंने पूरा डिस्कस कर दिया बेटा, right? So ये है तेरा पूरा euglena. It's going to be very important. The structure is something, the major parts and structure are going to be something which is very 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 important. Okay, so एक और बचा है, एक और last protestant is something which is going to be your slime molds. Okay, the slime, slime molds. हमेशा रखना why the name is given as such, because the slime molds are something while their growth, हमेशा NCERT liner, during their growth phase they form something called as slimy structure, that is called as slimy mass in the growth phase or developing phase, and that's why the name is given as slime molds. What happens is, हमेशा रखना, these are the organisms which are going to be always saprophytic. It's going to be very important word. They are going to be saprotrophic. They are going to be saprotrophic, and while they are moving, they are going to move on the wriggling pig-like structure. Wriggling. Just now I told you about euglena, wriggling movement. It's a bit different. Slime molds ka movement. Slime molds are just going to, on the dead decaying matter, they are just going to move like a wriggling manner, and just they will be consuming the organic matter. That's going to be one of the NCERT liner. In favorable condition, the very famous question, NEET 2017, the direct question, in favorable condition and in unfavorable condition. The two questions are going to be very famous. अगर इस chapter से और इस protista से कुछ आया ना, इसके बिना बेटा पेपर ही नहीं बनेगा. अगर protista से कुछ आया तो ये question पक्का के पक्का आएगा. In favorable condition, it is going to, in unfavorable condition, it is going to form fruiting bodies. And in favorable condition, it is something which is going to form something called as the structure, it is called as plasmodium. It's NCERT liner, exemplar, NEET 2017, ये question आए हैं. Favorable in plasmodium, unfavorable it is going to be fruiting body. अगर कभी confuse होना बेटा, U किस में है U? पहले fruiting में है कि plasmodium में है? फ्रूटनिंग में है, तो फ्रूटनिंग विल बी ऑलवेज अनफेवरेबल. ठीक है, दीज आर द ट्रिक्स यू शुड नो. तुम्हारी खुद के ट्रिक्स होने चाहिए तुम्हें खुद याद दिलाने के. ठीक है, तो अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन में इट इज गोइंग टू बी फ्रूटनिंग बॉडीज. अदर देन दिस, हमेशा याद रखना, द फ्रूटनिंग बॉडीज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द फ्रूटनिंग बॉडीज आर समथिंग which is going to have your so called the true walls. It's very important point that you have to remember. These are something which is going to have the true walls. And these, since they have the true walls, so can I say one thing? These are something which can even survive for years. Has to be, because they have true walls. The only particular slime mold which is going to have true walls is going to be the particular one, fruiting body. The only form of their developing or growth form. Unfavorable condition where it is going to form fruiting body, which is going to protect it for years. And it has true walls, and that's why it protects them for years. An example that most of you miss is going to be physarum. NCERT liner, physarum is something which is the example for slime molds is given in NCERT. Okay, so pyrocystis is going to be pyrophytes. Don't get confused between physarum. It's going to be different. Okay, so yeah. Okay, इतना ही है बेटा slime, मतलब तेरा so called this one. Then उसके एक point और है that I'll be teaching you when I'll be in my video when I'll be teaching you taxonomic classification. As per Tippo's classification, this is something, the slime molds is something which is kept in class Mixophyceae along with BGA. I've taught you in my previous video. तो ये सब कुछ चीज़ें जो तुम्हें याद रखनी है. It's going to be very important. So बस इतना ही है बेटा. इसके आगे कुछ नहीं है Protista. Okay, I'll be uploading some notes. These are the special good notes. इसको एक बार पढ़ो, ऐसे ही नोट्स बनाओ. It will be very helpful for you, just for your revision and all. And Pigment Protista के क्वेश्चन होंगे डिस्क्रिप्शन में इस वीडियो के, उस लिंक को फॉलो करो, उसको just go through that question. These are very good quality question. And मैंने सारे 30 years के questions करा दिए. Trust me, कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं है जो बाहर से होगा. Everything I have taught you, right? So okay. और फिर यार वही पुरानी वाली बात. If you like the video, please do hit like. And if you don't like the video, please just tell us on the comment section. कुछ भी दिक्कत हो, doubt हो and all, just text me on my mail ID. Okay. So, thank you so much.